Good news and bad news when it comes to trying to save starving manatees in our state. The program aimed at feeding the sea cows is showing some promise, but unfortunately, the gentle giants continue to die in record numbers. 10 Tampa Bay's Eric Glasser has more on the effort, what's working and what's not.
On Florida's East Coast, biologists are putting out as much as 3,000 pounds of food per day, mostly lettuce, to try to feed starving manatees. But sadly, with seagrass depletion and cold winter weather, the unusual mortality event, as they call it, has been unrelenting.
We have seen a higher than normal, above our 5-year average. That continues into this year.
The good news is that over the past couple of weeks, manatees at the feeding trial location near Cape Canaveral seem to have caught on, eating the lettuce biologists are offering them.
We did have cabbage a couple weeks ago, and we found that the animals were not as enticed by it as the romaine and the butter leaf. So we've continued with those two varieties, and they seem to be eating both of those very well.
The project is also becoming a national team effort. The Columbus Zoo recently took 4 manatees to make more space at SeaWorld. Wildlife workers are making their way here from all over.
I've got one actually coming from Alaska today because they want to help.
And while the numbers show cold weather has had a deadly impact statewide, as many as 10 dead sea cows per day.
I don't believe we're seeing elevated numbers of deceased manatees on the West Coast.
With the feeding program still in its infancy, biologists admit it's hard to measure success, but each manatee that they save from starvation or even rehabilitation is seen as a small victory, a ray of hope in what's admittedly been a heartbreaking period that sadly, they say, won't end with the change of season.
Because we're not going to solve our seagrass woes in the Indian River Lagoon over the course of the next year. So this will probably continue.
But I think most of us are hopeful that the impacts that we're making are going to have a positive influence on the species over the long run.
We sure hope so. FWC says so far they've spent about $18,000 on produce, most of it since the middle of January when the manatees started to actually eat that lettuce. The vast majority of that, they say, comes from donations to the Fish and Wildlife Foundation of Florida.